What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be showcasing some of the ghosts of Christmas past as we rapidly approach the holidays through Altergeist. But before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. To begin, you'll see that we have a copy of Metaverse in our hand, and this is just another deck strengthened by the ban list through the 3 Metaverse, though it did lose something with the 3 Mystic Minds, making this strategy a little bit less universal and a little bit more format dependent. As you see, we use the Marionetter here to get ourselves the Altergeist protocol, as you got a snippet of that Underworld Goddess. But from here, we're going to end our turn setting 2 more cards, as we don't have much to do here besides that. And we're going to top deck a Miluseek with the Going Second Hand. And with the Going Second Hand and Miluseek in hand, the line of play that you take is a little bit different here, as you always want to summon the Miluseek when going into a board. But we're going to use the Metaverse in order to prompt our Multi-Faker and get the Necro Valley on board, which is kind of what this deck revolves around now. If you want to play Altergeist this format, I feel like Necro Valley is the new Mystic Mind, sort of, for the deck, as we also have cards like Skullmeister to stop graveyard effects that may not move from the graveyard, like Kick Kalos when it wants to mill 5, or even Tearlament Scream just being able to search one of the Tearlament trap cards and stuff like that. So as we move on to the main phase 2, we have to pass on set 2 here, as we're stuck with 4 monsters in hand, and I want to show the pros and cons that you have with this deck, as in a mirror this may not be as good, but the fact that you have Necro Valley access along with the Solemn Judgment to protect it and the follow-up Multi-Faker with a hand trap can be a lot of firepower against graveyard-reliant strategies. So from here we're going to go to the main phase 1, switch our monsters to attack mode to get as much damage as possible, and then we'll flip the Metaverse on the other side to prompt the Multi-Faker and get us the add of a field spell, as we don't need to add the Necro Valley because there's a Necro Valley on the other side of the field. We're going to use the protocol here to stop the Multi-Faker, and then we'll see some Solemn to Solemn hate crime as we use the Going First Solemn to stop the Going Second Solemn, and this will pretty much end another turn here as we destroy the Multi-Faker from the hand, and then we're going to see the Skullmeister negate the Miluseek's Chainlink too, and because we activated the Solemn Judgment, and I believe the protocol in the same Chainlink, we'll also be able to get our own Multi-Faker, which will summon as well in attack. Multi-Faker then special summons another Altergeist monster from our deck to defense position, and this will allow us to get in for 1200, 1600, and 800, which, with the damage from Solemn Judgment, will put our opponent at extremely low life points, as we're going to go into the Hextia, use the Marionetter in order to revive the Miluseek. This gives us a Silk Bounce, a Hextia negation along with a protocol negation, the Skullmeister in hand, and we also get a search off the Miluseek when that goes to the graveyard. So from here we can just pass on that, as we have more than enough interruptions for what we see in the opponent's hand. And from there we'll see the normal summon of Miluseek. We're just going to Silk this, as there's nothing else that the opponent can do, and we're going to Silk it because if they did have Multi-Faker plus a trap, you would prefer to keep the protocol to send off the Hextia and stop the Multi-Faker that way, while you can keep the Silk for the bounce and put back the protocol in hand. And this will effectively end a turn here, as there's 3 monsters in hand, so there's not much that can be done, as we see another Miluseek, normal summon the Miluseek, and then just attack for 500, giving us game in a somewhat even playing field. But what I really wanted to show was that with the Hextia negations, the bounce from the Silk, and all the Altergeist stuff that you have, but when you can couple that with Metaverse and ways to get to your field spells that can floodgate your opponent out of the game, the deck can still be pretty good. So onto the deck list here, and you'll see that this is similar to the last Altergeist list I showed, except that now we have 3 copies of Metaverse. Mystic Mind is banned, so we had to replace that with Necro Valley, which is still effective enough in this format. I have the 3 Skullmeisters here, but in the options sections, if you want to gamble a little bit more, you do have the shifter route that you can take instead of the Skullmeisters, and then you have the Bestials, of course, with the DD Crow, but I went with the Skullmeisters because it was the least conflicting in my opinion, as once you can already stop the movements from the graveyard with Necro Valley, Skullmeister's effect becomes a lot better since they can only activate graveyard effects that don't move from the graveyard. Another noticeable thing is that you'll see we're on the Prosperity and Dualities, and just like the Mystic Mind version of the deck, you just want to see your floodgates, or at least a way to help you start playing. But anyways, onto the card by card. We have 3 Miluseek, the 3 Multifakers, only 2 Marionetters. Because Altergeist names can be pretty cloggy, then we have the 2 Silks, the 1 Conquery, the 3 Skullmeisters, the 3 Demise of the Land, the 3 Necro Valley, the 1 Secret Village of Spellcasters, which you can play more of in your side deck if you would like to. Then we have the 3 Prosperity, the 3 Duality, the 3 Metaverse, the 3 Imperm, the 2 Spoofing, the 3 Solemn Judgments, the 1 Protocol, the 1 Manifestation. We're only playing 2 Marionetters, and because we want to focus the deck more around stunning our opponent through the field spells and cards that stop graveyard stuff, while being provided the extra disruptions through Silk and Protocol and stuff like that, it just felt like the most space economical way to play this. It's just like the Altergeist monsters, playing multiple of these can be cloggy as well, but it's also like playing 3 copies of one of the traps through having 2 Marionetter with the option of either one or the other, while playing 2 Spoofing and the second trap as a quote-unquote third copy, effectively saving you 2 slots in deck, which allow us to play the Conquery and the Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Onto the extra deck, we have Underworld Goddess, Access Code, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Cerberus. The Dagger for Hire is optional. A lot of the extra deck kind of is in regards to this stuff here, because this isn't a deck that's necessarily spamming out its extra deck, but these are just the most universal options to make in my opinion, as we have the 1 Memory Gant, the 2 Prime Banshees, the 3 Hextia, the 1 Linkuriboh, the 1 Anima, and the 1 Almirage to round out the deck profile. To the other options besides the hand traps, I think the removal is self-explanatory, but I think that as a side deck option, Different Dimension Ground can be a cute option going first. Skill Drain synergizes with Protocol, while effectively hurting other decks, and then there's obviously Rivalry of Warlords. Your deck is basically all spellcasters. I think that the Crackdown can also be an interesting option here, as it is a Trap Snatch Steal that triggers your Multifaker. Then finally there's the Evenly, which similarly to Imperm, you can just activate from your hand to trigger the Multifaker. Except when you activate Evenly, you're usually getting a lot more advantage if you're not baiting something. Anyways, that's all for today's video, and if you made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Hope everyone has a great holidays, and remember, be happy for what you get or what you have. Anyways, it's Bones, signing out.